The moment the HOA president crossed my property line, they crossed more than just a boundary, they crossed the law. And now, they're facing court. When I first moved into this neighborhood, I thought I had finally found the perfect place to settle down. Wide streets, quiet evenings, and neighbors who waved as they passed by. It seemed like the kind of community people dream about. But like every paradise, there was a shadow lurking beneath the surface. And in this neighborhood, that shadow came in the form of our HOA president. At first glance, the HOA president seemed polite. Smiles at the community meetings, promises to keep the neighborhood clean and organized, and endless speeches about protecting property values. But it didn't take long before I realized those smiles were fake, and those promises were nothing but excuses to control, intimidate, and manipulate the entire community. It started small. Letters about leaving trash bins out too long. Warnings about the shade of paint on someone's shutters. Notes taped to doors demanding people mow their lawns twice a week. Most people grumbled but complied, too tired or too busy to fight back. But I wasn't like most people. My first run-in with the HOA president happened over something ridiculous: my truck. It wasn't broken, it wasn't abandoned, and it wasn't ugly. It was my pride and joy, something I had worked years to afford. But the president decided it was not in line with the neighborhood aesthetic and ordered me to remove it from my own driveway. I refused. That's when the harassment began. Week after week, I received threatening letters, fines that had no legal backing, demands that became more aggressive. And it didn't stop there. I caught them snooping around my property late at night, snapping pictures of my house like some kind of stalker. My cameras caught everything, proof of their obsession, proof of their abuse of power. But I wasn't the only one. Neighbors whispered their own horror stories. A single mother fined hundreds of dollars because her kids' toys were cluttering the yard. An elderly couple threatened with a lien on their home for planting unauthorized flowers. A veteran warned that his American flag was not HOA approved. Everyone was suffering, but everyone was too scared to push back. Everyone except me. I started collecting everything: letters, emails, photographs, videos. I even recorded conversations where the president slipped up, admitting that some of their fines were creative ways to keep people in line. They thought they were untouchable, that their title gave them absolute authority. But what they didn't know was that every fake fine, every trespass, every illegal threat was building my case. The breaking point came one Saturday morning. I walked outside to find the HOA president standing in my yard, clipboard in hand, barking orders to a landscaper they had hired without my consent. They claimed my lawn wasn't up to community standards and decided to take action themselves, charging the costs directly to me. That was it. That was the moment they crossed the line. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't even tell them to leave. Instead, I calmly walked back into my house, printed out copies of every single piece of evidence I had collected, and made a call to my lawyer. The case came together faster than I expected. What the HOA president had been doing wasn't just annoying, it was criminal. Extortion, harassment, trespassing, impersonation of legal authority. The list went on. When my lawyer saw the mountain of evidence, he just shook his head and said, "They're done." Court day arrived, and the entire neighborhood showed up. People who had been silent for years now stood beside me, ready to testify. The HOA president strutted in like they still owned the place, head high, acting as if this was just another meeting they could control. But the moment the judge entered, reality hit them like a brick wall. One by one, the lies unraveled. The fake fines, the bogus rules, the threats, the trespassing, it was all laid bare for the court to see. My recordings played for the entire room. My neighbors shared their stories, their voices trembling with anger and relief. And through it all, the HOA president sat there, their smug expression fading with every passing minute. By the end of the trial, the verdict was clear: guilty. The judge ordered restitution for the families who had been targeted, fines for the illegal actions, and, most importantly, the complete removal of the president from the They were stripped of their title, their power, and their false sense of control. When it was all over, I walked out of that courtroom not just as a homeowner, but as a reminder that bullies only win when good people stay silent. The neighborhood transformed almost overnight. The single mother's kids played freely in the yard. The veteran's flag flew proudly without a single complaint, and the elderly couple planted their garden in peace. As for the former HOA president, they vanished. No more clipboard, no more threats, no more late-night snooping, just silence. So here's the lesson. When someone crosses the line, when they abuse power, when they manipulate and intimidate, they might think they're untouchable. But all it takes is one person brave enough to stand up and fight back. And when that happens, their empire crumbles. The HOA president thought they could control me. They thought they could control us all. But in the end, they learned the hard way. When you cross the line, you face the consequences. And sometimes, those consequences come in the form of a courtroom and a community united against you. Because this wasn't just about me. This was about every neighbor they tried to silence, every family they tried to intimidate, every home they tried to control. And together, we proved one thing: no self-proclaimed authority is above the law. The HOA president crossed the line, and now they're facing court